Yo, what is up everyone? Today we're going to be doing something a little different to the usual. We're not going to be focusing on a car for once. We're going to be assembling my gaming/editing rig. Now, in my opinion, this is kind of similar to maintaining and modifying a car in the sense that you've got a whole lot of parts to pick and choose from. You put it all together, you modify it to your liking, and at the end you have a machine that's catered just for you. Plus it's also just really interesting putting these things together, and I thought you guys might like it. So with that being said, let's get straight to it. At the heart of the build, we've got the AMD Ryzen 5 3600 processor. I was gonna get the 3600X, but after some research, I realized that it's not worth paying the extra 90 bucks to get the X. So I went with the standard, and I'm also just sticking with the Wraith cooler is what it's called. So this comes with that, and I decided not to get an aftermarket CPU cooler because I don't plan on overclocking it or pushing this computer to its limits. As for the graphics card, we've got a Radeon 5500 XT with 8 gigabytes of graphics memory. You know, that'll do the trick. I'm not much of a heavy gamer. I don't need a premium graphics card, so I settled for something a bit more mid-range. The motherboard is, again, it's a basic component. It just allows the parts to communicate. Doesn't need to be too fancy. It's got the X570 chipset for the Gen 3 processor, which is all I needed. I did go for 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's a T-Force Dark Z Alpha, I guess. I got 32 gigabytes because this is primarily going to be used for editing, and RAM is always handy when that's the scenario. As for storage, I got a 1 terabyte M2 port SSD, and that basically means that in the space of a tiny little wafer chip, we can store 1 terabyte, and that's going to be used for the operating system, which is Windows 10. And I've also got a 4 terabyte Western Digital Black, which will be used to store my videos, my games, music, and so forth. The power supply is a gold rated modular 650 watt Superflower. And then we have some miscellaneous things like the Bluetooth Wi-Fi adapter, a fan back there, and my keyboard and mouse. I just got a combo pack, K55 and the Harpoon. So it's, of course, it's light up RGB. It's a must. And the case, very basic, very simple. It has an SD card slot up here, and that really did attract me to it. And it's just clean and basic and sleek, which I like.
She's taking her time, making up the reasons to justify all the hurt inside. Guess she knows from the smiles and the look in their eyes. Everyone's got a theory about the bitter one. They're saying mama never loved her much and daddy never keeps in touch. That's why she shies away from human affection. But somewhere in a private place, she packs her bags for outer space. And now she's waiting for the right kind of pilot to come. And she'll say to him, she's saying, I would fly to the moon and back if you'll be my baby. Got a ticket for a world where we belong. So would you be my baby? I would fly to the moon and back if you'll be my baby. Got a ticket for a world where we belong. So would you be my baby? She can't remember a time when she felt needed. If love was red, then she was colorblind. All her friends, they've been tried for treason and crimes that were never defined. She's saying love is like a barren place, and reaching out for human faith is like a journey I just don't have a map for. So baby,
Alright everybody, this is going to be the first startup. So I'll switch the power on. I'm not seeing any lights on the motherboard. Tick. Okay, that looks good. Whew. My old motherboard actually had a set of LED numbers which displayed the code of the motherboard, so what the status of the motherboard was, and that was really cool. It also had a button on the actual motherboard itself that you could press to turn it on, which lit up to let you know that power was coming to the motherboard, and that was a cool feature. So I'm beginning to see what the difference between like a cheaper motherboard such as this one is compared to a more expensive motherboard such as the one I had in my old computer. Fast forward to nearly 3 whole weeks later, and here we are. So that Western Digital black hard drive, the 4TB one that I used, ended up being dead on arrival. It just didn't work. Warranty and returning took ages because of the whole coronavirus thing. I live like 20 minutes away from this store, but I had to use Australia Post to return it and then to get a replacement. And you know, instead of being a 40-minute affair, that ended up being like 3 weeks. But anyway, I got the new one in there. So I'm pretty terrible at the whole cable management thing. I don't care about it. You know, no one sees my computer but me. I only really do it for functional purposes, not for form. It's just meant to keep airflow consistent and so forth. So this case, I just realized, has the thinnest of sills. I can barely fit a finger in there. So that means the distance between this here and then the this side panel is barely anything. Like, how can you fit a cable this thick in between that space? So that's a huge letdown, because cable management on this case is going to be a nightmare from what I've gathered. My old case has this beautiful, big, juicy, thick sill down there. You can see just how wide it is compared to the Silencio case, and that allowed for some awesome cable management. That's another thing I guess you have to look out for when you're buying a case, so you guys can learn off that. Thanks, I hate it. This is what I had to end up doing. I had to disconnect everything and run all the wires back through the front instead of porting it through these holes, because there is no space on the other side. It's ridiculous just knowing that this is sitting here collecting dust and impeding airflow around the case. I don't know, you have to be a cable management god to try and fix all that up, because there's just no usable space on the other side really, and it's a huge disappointment. So avoid this case if possible. It was fun, it was easy, apart from the case and the hard drive going wrong. It was a breeze, and I did put more money towards the actual GPU and the CPU of this build compared to my old one. So it's going to be better for editing, it's going to be better for gaming, and obviously the fact that it's 7 years newer guarantees that. But I put less money towards the motherboard and a few other peripherals, so it's going to be a little bit less user-friendly. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it's illuminated the process of an editing or gaming rig for you guys. And I know this is an automotive channel, but let's be real, anyone who's into gaming and editing, this would be handy for you, and I know a lot of you guys are. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm planning to keep some content coming, hopefully do some more Integra stuff soon. So stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.